Okay, that was for market attractiveness, and then we did the same thing for competitive strength, where we looked at price, quality. I forget what the other one was, variety maybe or something. And this was competitive strength, right? Now this was for products. Now what you are doing is you are replacing the products as the options with the consumer types. Because now, so let's say that the thing that came out as being the area of focus was lounge furniture. I can't remember what it was. So you take the lounge furniture, and that's where you put in all your consumer segments. So you've started with a matrix of, let's say, 9 to 12, whatever the options are. So you might have one axis here, axis 1, axis 2. You've then got a certain number of options, 9 to 12 options. That's what you put down the side here, okay, when you do the DPM this time. So it'll be a much longer list. Last time you did, what, 5 or 6. This time you'll be about 9 to 12. Okay, so that's what you put down the side. And here, but you do it, for the market attractiveness, you do it in exactly the same way. You check the criteria you used last time, you check the criteria you used last time and check whether it's still appropriate when you are looking at consumers. So let's just say, for sake of argument, you had a criteria for market attractiveness that was cost of material. That's an appropriate criteria when you are comparing products. It's not an appropriate criteria when you are comparing consumers. The cost of materials has got nothing to do with consumers. So in that case, you might need to change it. If you had a criteria here that was around legislative risk, that's not appropriate for the consumers. You might need to replace that one. But on the whole, size, growth, number of competitors, those type of criteria apply just as well. Because you're looking at what's the size of this segment, how quickly is it growing, and how strong is the competition against those segments. Okay, so let you do that. But you do it exactly the same way. You weight the criteria, keep as far as you can to your previous weightings, but if you replace a criteria, then you might need to redo it. And then you score by saying which of these is the best against this criteria, and the best one gets the highest score. Now, previously you might have scored 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This time you're going to score 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, however many options you've got. So this is done in pretty much the same way, except that you're replacing the options of products with consumers. This is where it's changing. So last time you would have had your products, lounge, bedroom, study. You would have had weightings, which is how important does the average consumer think each of these criteria are, and then you would have scored between, I think, 1 and 3 or 1 and 5, where 3 is we're about the same as the competitor, 4 is we're better, 5 is the best, 2 is we're not as good, 1 is the worst. Now, this time, you've only got one product. So how good you are is not going to change. Okay, compared to your competitors, how good you are on price compared for lounge furniture is going to be the same, whoever's buying it. However, how important these things are is going to change. So last time you put the criteria at the top and you put the scores in the columns. This time you're swapping it. This time you are putting the criteria in the middle and you are putting the scores, which you already have, okay, at the top. So you already have scores for how good am I for my product against price, quality, whatever it is. So these criteria, again, most probably should stay exactly the same as what you did last time, which is when I actually put this in back. Because they're the criteria you use when you're buying the thing. You might, again, just want to check it, because you might want to refine it. Now that you're on a specific product, you might want to replace one of the more generic criteria with a different one. That's fine. Just score yourself against that compared to your competitors, and it's done. So score compared to the competitors at the top, weighting in terms of how important it is to this particular consumer group in the middle. And remember, when you're doing a weighting, if you've got 4 or 5 criteria, you should see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the row. Because what you're saying is that this consumer group, for Tarquin, who represents an investment banker who buys Maserati, if that's what you're about lounges, so Tarquin, who buys a particular type of chaise lounges, so his romantic room, whatever it is. His priorities are, most important thing, quality. second most important thing and least important thing, price, okay? And then you would have for Julia who buys garden furniture for whatever else might be. Get it? Okay, so remember that. So that team is going to start. You can't get over target, can you?
Sorry.
So remember that for when you start this in about